Hey man, I'm Jusko from ProudMoney.com, and in this video we are going to answer the question, what happens if you don't activate a credit card? What happens with your credit score? What happens if that card has an annual fee? All of those kind of things. Now this question comes up often on credit card and other personal finance discussion boards, and it usually happens when someone gets a credit card, they are approved for a credit card, and then they realize that they don't want that credit card. It may be, and it oftentimes is, that there's an annual fee on that credit card that maybe they didn't realize had an annual fee. If they don't have very good credit, they might find out that there's a lot of extra fees on that card, and then they did their research after they got the card instead of beforehand, and then they wish that they hadn't gotten that card, or maybe you just made a mistake and you applied for a card by mistake. So what people want is a potential loophole, and the loophole that they are looking for is, if I don't activate the card, will that mean that it just sort of goes away and I don't have that card account and I don't have to pay that annual fee, and we just pretend like the whole thing never happened? So the short answer here is that if you don't activate your credit card, it really doesn't do anything positive for you. You have already been approved for that credit card. You've already taken the hard inquiry, also known as a hard pull, on your credit report when you were approved for the card, and then you also have a new card account that is going to go onto your credit report as well. So even if you don't activate that card, those things have already happened. Now, if you don't activate the card, the bank eventually is going to close that account, but that doesn't mean that the account never existed, and it doesn't mean that that account doesn't show up on your credit report. They might close it quickly within the first couple months. If you don't activate the card, they might leave it open for a whole year or so before they actually close the card. But either way, it is still going to show up on your credit report. Probably more importantly, if you get a credit card that has an annual fee and you fail to activate that card, you can bet your sweet ass that they are still going to charge you that annual fee, and that it is going to show up on the first bill that comes to you, regardless of whether you have activated the card or not, because you have already agreed to pay that annual fee when you were approved for the card. So if you choose not to activate it, that's up to you, but they're still going to charge you that, and they're still going to expect payment. So if you think taking the sort of path of least resistance and not activating the card is going to get you out of that annual fee, you're definitely mistaken. So the idea of credit card activation is a safety feature that most banks at this point use as a way to try to cut down on credit card fraud. They want to make sure that they don't send out live cards that somebody else might be able to use if they got their hands on it before you. But there are no laws that say a card has to be unactivated and that you have to activate it. So if you are someone that gets a credit card, you've been approved, and they send you the card, and you think, well, I have a legal basis here to not get this credit card account if I don't activate it, that's really not the case. It's really just a safety feature. Now, if you have a no annual fee card and you get that card and you don't want to activate it, eventually they're going to shut that card account down. It's not going to hurt you very much more at that point, because you've already taken the hard inquiry and you've already got the new credit card account that's going to show up on your credit report. But the bad part about it is you're going to have a new account that didn't last very long, and that is going to be something that hurts your average age of accounts, which is part of the credit scoring model. So if you have credit cards that are opened and closed very quickly, that is another thing that is going to ding your credit score a little bit. Now, if you have a credit card that has an annual fee and you choose not to pay because you decide, well, I didn't activate it, they can't charge me for that annual fee, well, that is going to be a case where they send you a bill, and if you don't pay that bill and you just pretend like the whole credit card thing never happened, well, then eventually what you're doing is defaulting on the credit card, and that is going to hurt your credit score a lot. So hopefully I've convinced you that simply not activating the card is not a smart way to go. However, you're still in the same situation. If you opened a credit card and you wish you hadn't, you don't want to pay an annual fee, or you just got the wrong card, or you don't like the card, or whatever, you still want it to go away as much as possible. The thing to do, instead of taking that path of least resistance and hoping for the best when you don't activate the card, is to contact the credit card company, tell them what the situation is. And the sooner the better, because if you got a card that has an annual fee and you are contacting them quickly, well, there's a pretty good chance that they are simply going to not charge you that annual fee and they're going to close down the account. Even if a card doesn't have an annual fee, you want to get to them quickly because oftentimes they will close the account, and if it hasn't already been reported to the credit bureau, and usually a new account takes some time before it shows up on your credit report, it may be that it never will get reported to the credit bureaus because the banks do not have to report the new accounts to the credit bureaus. This is a voluntary system, so they put those things on there. They're not legally required to report everything to the bureaus if they don't want to. So if there's a mistake made and you call them the next day after you were approved, well, then they have the leeway to not report those things. But if you wait too long, it might end up on your credit report, and once it's on the credit report, not so easy to get it off. But as far as the banks are concerned, the credit card issuers, they don't really have any upside in terms of wanting that new account on your credit report if it is something that you didn't want. It's not doing them any good to ding your credit score for no good reason. So always the best thing to do is contact them and see what can be done. At the very least, you can probably avoid that annual fee. Now, you're still going to have that hard inquiry from being approved for the credit card because you wanted the credit card, you applied for it, they checked your credit, that's already on your credit report, and that's probably not going to go away. But the new account could go away, and paying that annual fee could go away as well. So that is it for this video. Questions, comments, would love to hear them in that comment section below. Otherwise, I thank you for watching. And as always, please go to proudmoney.com where we do credit card reviews, we talk personal finance, we talk deals, and all sorts of other fun stuff too. If you're not going to go to the website or leave a comment, the thing to do next is watch that video.